You have spent enough of your life waiting for other people to choose you, waiting for them to recognize your value, waiting for them to treat you better, waiting for permission to rest, to grow, to say no, to walk away, or to finally build the life you keep postponing. But here is the truth nobody tells you. Your life does not begin when someone else finally appreciates you. It begins the moment you stop abandoning yourself. Every time you sacrifice your needs to keep someone comfortable, silence your voice to avoid rejection, or neglect your goals while helping everyone else reach theirs, you teach the world that you can be placed last, and the world will continue treating you according to the position you accept. This audiobook is not about becoming selfish, cold, or careless. It is about ending the habit of disappearing from your own life. It is about protecting your time, rebuilding your confidence, respecting your energy, and becoming loyal to the person you see in the mirror. Because when you finally become your own priority, everything changes. Your standards rise, your decisions become clearer, the wrong people lose access to you, the right opportunities become easier to recognize, and the life that once felt chaotic begins to fall into place. Not because the world suddenly becomes kinder, but because you become stronger, wiser, and unwilling to keep betraying yourself. So before we begin, subscribe to the channel and stay with this audiobook until the final chapter. What you are about to hear may completely change the way you value yourself, protect your future, and choose the life you truly deserve. This is Value Yourself First, and your transformation begins now. Chapter 1. Stop abandoning yourself. There is a dangerous habit that many people mistake for kindness. You keep placing everyone else first. You make yourself available whenever they need you. You change your plans, silence your opinions, ignore your exhaustion, and tolerate behavior that hurts you because you are afraid of disappointing someone. You keep saying yes when your mind, body, and emotions are quietly begging you to say no. But when caring for others repeatedly requires you to betray yourself, it is no longer kindness, it is self-abandonment. Self-abandonment happens when you repeatedly ignore your own needs, values, feelings, and limits to keep other people comfortable. It happens when you stay silent to avoid conflict, even when something is wrong. It happens when you accept disrespect because you fear that speaking up will make someone leave. It happens when you keep giving more than you can afford, hoping your sacrifice will finally make someone appreciate you. Every time you do this, you teach yourself a painful lesson. You teach yourself that other people matter more, their comfort matters more, their approval matters more, their expectations matter more. You begin to believe that your role is to adjust, tolerate, forgive, explain, and carry whatever others place on you. At first, this may seem harmless. You may even feel proud of being dependable. You become the person everyone calls when they need help, advice, money, time, or emotional support. But slowly, your own life becomes neglected. Your goals remain unfinished, your energy disappears, your health suffers, your confidence weakens. You become tired and resentful, yet you continue smiling because you do not want anyone to think you have changed. Eventually, you stop knowing what you want because you have spent so much time becoming what everyone else needed. You know how to read other people's moods, but you cannot understand your own. You know what everyone expects from you, but you are unsure what you expect from yourself. You know how to solve other people's problems, but you keep postponing the problems inside your own life. Becoming your own priority begins with one uncomfortable decision. You must stop treating yourself like the least important person in your own life. This does not mean becoming selfish, cold, or careless. It does not mean refusing to help anyone or thinking only about yourself. It means accepting that you cannot build a healthy life while constantly neglecting the person who must live it. It means understanding that your needs matter, your feelings deserve attention, and your limits are not shameful. You are responsible for your mind, your body, your time, your choices, and your future. No one else can carry that responsibility for you. People can support, encourage, and guide you, but they cannot make your daily decisions. They cannot protect your energy if you keep giving it away. They cannot build your future while you sacrifice your time to everyone else's demands. People may benefit from your lack of boundaries. They may enjoy your constant availability. They may prefer the version of you who never says no, never complains, and never asks for anything in return. Sometimes people call you selfish because you are no longer easy to use. Sometimes they call you difficult because you finally have standards. Sometimes they say you have changed because they can no longer control your choices as easily as before. Their convenience is not more important than your well-being. What do I need right now? What am I tolerating that continues to hurt me? Where am I saying yes while secretly wishing I could say no? Whose approval am I still trying to earn? What am I afraid will happen if I finally speak honestly? These questions may expose truths you have avoided for years. You may realize that you are exhausted because you keep taking responsibility for adults who refuse to take responsibility for themselves. You may discover that you remain in certain relationships only because you fear being alone. You may understand that you keep proving your value to people who only notice you when they need something. Do not run from these truths. Your life cannot improve while you remain dishonest with yourself. Start with small changes. Pause before agreeing to something. Ask yourself whether you truly want to do it, whether you have the energy, and whether the request is fair. Stop answering immediately when you feel pressured. Give yourself time to think. A simple sentence such as, "Let me consider it," can protect you from another decision you will later regret. You do not need permission to protect your energy. You do not need permission to rest. Rest is not laziness when you are genuinely tired. You do not need permission to change your mind when new information appears. You do not need permission to leave unhealthy environments, reduce contact with draining people, or stop carrying responsibilities that were never yours. You will feel guilty at first. That does not mean you are doing something wrong. Guilt often appears when you break an old pattern. You are used to disappointing yourself to avoid disappointing others. Now you are learning to reverse that habit. Your life deserves the care you give others. The first person you must stop abandoning is yourself. The first person you must learn to listen to is yourself. And the first person you must stop disappointing is yourself. Chapter 2. Your attention is your life. Your life moves in the direction of your attention. Whatever you repeatedly focus on begins shaping your thoughts, emotions, habits, and decisions. Where your attention goes, your energy follows. Where your energy goes, your life slowly begins to change. This is why you must become careful about what you allow to occupy your mind. What you focus on repeatedly becomes the emotional environment in which you must live. Often, the deeper problem is that their attention is scattered. They spend their best hours thinking about people who are not thinking about them. They replay old conversations, analyze messages, compare themselves with strangers, follow unnecessary drama, and react to every small disturbance around them. At the end of the day, they feel exhausted, but they have built nothing. You may recognize this pattern in yourself. Perhaps you wake up and immediately check your phone. Before considering your priorities, you are already entering other people's lives. You read their opinions, watch their progress, absorb their problems, and compare their visible results with your private struggles. Your attention leaves you before your day has truly begun. Then you wonder why you cannot focus. Your attention is not unlimited. When you spend too much attention on things you cannot control, you have less available for the things you can change. You cannot build confidence while constantly studying who dislikes you. You cannot improve your life while obsessing over who is ahead of you. You cannot protect your future while giving your present attention to distractions. This does not mean you must ignore everyone or become disconnected from the world. It means learning the difference between what deserves your attention and what merely demands it. A message can feel urgent without being meaningful. A person can demand a response without deserving one. You must stop treating every interruption like a command. Not every opinion needs your defense. Not every misunderstanding needs correction. Not every criticism deserves a reply. Not every invitation deserves your time. Not every conflict is worth entering. Some problems remain powerful only because you keep feeding them with attention. Think about a person who repeatedly provokes you. They say something designed to make you angry, and you spend the next several hours thinking about it. The conversation may have lasted 2 minutes, but you allow it to control half your day. They leave, yet their words continue living inside your mind because you keep replaying them. This is how attention becomes captivity. You do not regain control by winning every argument. You regain control by deciding what no longer deserves space inside you. The same principle applies to comparison. Every time you study another person's life without purpose, you risk neglecting your own. You see their success, appearance, relationships, or possessions, but you do not see the full cost, timing, struggle, or truth behind what is shown. You compare your entire reality with a carefully selected moment from theirs. This comparison does not guide you, it weakens you. Use other people's progress as information, not as evidence that you are failing. Learn what is useful, then return to your own path. Your life will not improve because you watched someone else live theirs more closely. You need to ask yourself a direct question. What deserves my attention today? Your health may deserve it. Your unfinished work may deserve it. A difficult conversation may deserve it. Your finances, learning, family, or future may deserve it. Once you identify what matters, protect time for it before distractions consume your energy. Begin your day with intention. Before checking messages, decide what must be completed. Choose one important task and give it your full attention. Do not divide your mind between your goal and 10 unnecessary interruptions. Focused effort for 1 hour can produce more than an entire day of distracted activity. You must also examine what repeatedly steals your attention. Is it your phone? Is it a particular person? Is it constant worry about the future? Is it regret about the past? Is it the need to know what everyone thinks about you? Name the distraction honestly. You cannot control what you refuse to identify. Then create practical limits. Turn off unnecessary notifications. Keep your phone away while working. Stop checking whether someone has viewed your message. Reduce the time you spend following people who leave you feeling inadequate. Give yourself periods of silence in which your mind is not being pulled in every direction. At first, quiet may feel uncomfortable. A distracted mind becomes addicted to stimulation. You may reach for your phone without thinking. You may feel restless when nothing is happening. Do not mistake restlessness for a real need. It is simply your mind adjusting to a new level of discipline. Your ability to focus will grow through practice. Each evening, ask where your attention went. Did you invest it in something meaningful, or did you give it away? Did you move your life forward, or did you spend the day reacting to other people? Do not judge yourself. Correct yourself. Your attention is your life in small pieces. Every day you decide where those pieces will go. Spend them on what strengthens you, teaches you, supports you, and moves you toward the person you want to become. Protect your attention, because once a day is gone, no amount of regret can bring it back. Chapter 3. Learn to say no without guilt. A weak no can create a painful life. When you cannot say no, you become available for demands that drain you, relationships that exploit you, and responsibilities that leave no space for your own goals. You keep agreeing because you want to avoid conflict, disappointment, or rejection. But every dishonest yes becomes another burden you must carry. Many people believe saying no makes them selfish. It does not. Saying no means you understand that your time, energy, money, and attention are limited. You cannot give everything to everyone without having nothing left for yourself. The real reason many people struggle to say no is fear. You may fear that someone will become angry. You may fear they will stop liking you. You may fear being called rude, difficult, ungrateful, or uncaring. You may worry that setting a limit will damage the relationship, so you agree even when you do not want to. You say yes to the invitation, although you are exhausted. You lend money you cannot afford to lose. You take on extra work, even though your schedule is full. You listen to the same complaints for hours, while your responsibilities remain unfinished. You keep helping because saying no feels more uncomfortable than sacrificing yourself. But the discomfort does not disappear. It changes into resentment. You begin feeling angry with people for asking, even though you continue agreeing. You feel unseen and unappreciated. You wonder why nobody considers your needs, yet people cannot respect limits you never communicate. They may assume you are willing because your words keep telling them that you are. A clear no is better than a resentful yes. When you say yes while secretly wanting to say no, you are not being honest. Your words and feelings are moving in opposite directions. You may complete the favor, but you do it with frustration. You may remain in the conversation, but emotionally you have already withdrawn. Healthy relationships require honesty, not endless sacrifice. You must accept that disappointing someone does not automatically mean you have done something wrong. People may feel disappointed because they did not get what they wanted. Their emotional reaction is not always proof that your decision was unfair. Someone may become upset because you are no longer available at every hour. Someone may accuse you of changing because you stopped solving their problems. Someone may call you selfish because you finally asked them to respect your time. Let their reaction reveal whether they valued you or merely valued your usefulness. A person who respects you may feel disappointed, but they will still accept your limit. A person who wants control will argue, pressure, shame, or punish you until you surrender. This difference matters. You do not need a long explanation when you say no. Over-explaining often makes your decision sound negotiable. It gives people more details to challenge, question, or manipulate. Use simple language. I cannot do that. I am not available. That does not work for me. I need time to think about it. I cannot commit to this right now. These sentences are complete. You can be respectful without giving a defense. If you are not ready to answer, pause. Do not allow urgency to force you into a decision. Say that you will think about it and respond later. This gives you time to ask whether the request is reasonable, whether you have the capacity, and whether agreeing will damage something more important. You also need to understand that boundaries are not punishments. A boundary does not mean you are trying to control another person. It explains what you will do to protect your well-being. You may say that you will leave a conversation if insults begin. You may decide not to answer work messages late at night. You may refuse to lend more money to someone who never repaid the previous amount. You may limit contact with a person who repeatedly leaves you exhausted. The boundary becomes real only when you follow through. If you keep announcing consequences but never acting, people learn that your words have no weight. At first, guilt may appear. You may replay the situation and wonder whether you were too harsh. This is normal when you are changing an old pattern. You have trained yourself to believe that other people's comfort is your responsibility. When you stop carrying that responsibility, your mind may interpret the change as wrongdoing. Do not confuse guilt with truth. Ask whether you were disrespectful or merely firm. Ask whether the request was fair. Ask whether saying yes would have required you to neglect something important. If your decision was reasonable, allow the guilt to pass without changing your answer. Learning to say no is a skill. Begin with small situations. Decline something unimportant. Delay an answer. Stop volunteering for every task. Protect 1 hour of your day. Each small boundary teaches you that discomfort can be survived. Some people will adjust. Some will leave. Some relationships may weaken because they depended on your lack of limits. Let that happen. Every yes requires several no's. When you say no to distraction, you say yes to focus. When you say no to exhaustion, you say yes to recovery. When you say no to disrespect, You say yes to dignity. Your no protects the life your yes is meant to build. Choose it wisely. Chapter 4. Build a life you do not need to escape from. Many people are not truly resting. They are escaping. They wait all week for the weekend because they cannot tolerate their daily routine. They count the hours until work ends. They scroll for long periods, watch one video after another, sleep more than they need, or constantly search for entertainment because silence makes them uncomfortable. The moment life becomes quiet, they begin feeling everything they have been avoiding. They feel the dissatisfaction they have ignored. They remember the goals they keep postponing. They notice the emptiness in their relationships. They think about the work they dislike, the habits they cannot control, and the promises they continue breaking to themselves, so they distract themselves again. Temporary distraction can be useful. Everyone needs rest, enjoyment, and time away from responsibility. The problem begins when escape becomes your main way of living. If every difficult emotion sends you toward your phone, food, entertainment, shopping, gossip, or sleep, you never remain present long enough to understand what needs to change. You keep treating the symptoms while protecting the cause. You cannot build a better life by becoming better at avoiding the life you already have. At some point, you must ask yourself a serious question. What am I trying so hard not to feel? Perhaps you are avoiding the truth that your work no longer suits you. Perhaps you are tired because you keep giving your best energy to people who do not value it. Perhaps your environment is disorganized, your finances are unstable, or your days have no direction. Perhaps you are disappointed in yourself because you know you are capable of more, yet your habits continue pulling you backward. These truths may be uncomfortable, but discomfort is often the beginning of clarity. You do not need to hate your life before improving it. You only need to become honest about what is no longer working. Look carefully at your daily routine. Your life is not shaped only by your major decisions. It is shaped by what you repeatedly do from morning until night. The time you wake up matters. The way you speak to yourself matters. The food you eat matters. The people you communicate with matter. The information you consume matters. The work you complete and the tasks you avoid both matter. Your future is hidden inside ordinary days. Many people imagine transformation as one powerful moment. They believe that one day they will suddenly become disciplined, confident, organized, and focused. They wait for motivation to arrive before changing their behavior. But lasting change rarely happens through one dramatic decision. It happens through small actions repeated until they become part of your identity. You clean the room even when nobody will see it. You complete the task even when you do not feel inspired. You stop spending money on things you do not need. You go to bed instead of continuing to scroll. You walk away from a conversation that is becoming unhealthy. You keep a promise to yourself even when breaking it would be easier. These choices may look small, but they are evidence that you are beginning to take your life seriously. You must stop expecting motivation to carry you. Motivation is temporary. It appears when you feel hopeful, energetic, or excited, and disappears when life becomes difficult. Discipline is different. Discipline means you continue acting according to your values, even when your emotions are uncooperative. You may not feel like exercising, but you move your body because your health matters. You may not feel like working, but you begin because your future matters. You may not feel like organizing your environment, but you know that chaos around you eventually creates chaos within you. You may not feel like having an honest conversation, but avoiding it will only make the situation heavier. A better life is built when your actions stop depending completely on your mood. This does not mean forcing yourself endlessly. You are not a machine. You need rest, flexibility, and compassion. But there is a difference between genuine rest and avoidance. Real rest helps you return stronger. Avoidance leaves you feeling more anxious because the unfinished responsibility is still waiting. Learn to recognize the difference. If you spend several hours distracted and still feel mentally exhausted, you probably did not rest. You escaped. Rest should restore some of your energy. Escape usually creates temporary relief, followed by guilt, frustration, or more stress. Begin building a life you respect by improving the parts you can control. Start with your environment. A neglected space can quietly affect your mood and focus. You do not need an expensive home or perfect surroundings. You need order. Clean what you use, remove what you no longer need. Create a place where you can think, work, and rest without unnecessary chaos. Then examine your physical condition. Are you sleeping enough? Are you moving your body? Are you eating in a way that supports your energy? Many emotional problems become heavier when the body is constantly exhausted. Do not ignore basic needs while searching for complicated solutions. Next, look at your work. You may not be able to leave a difficult job immediately, but you can begin preparing. Learn a useful skill, save money, improve your performance, research other options. Stop telling yourself that nothing can change while doing nothing to create change. A slow plan is better than permanent helplessness. Examine your relationships as well. Ask yourself how you feel after spending time with certain people. Do you feel supported, respected, and understood? Or do you feel drained, anxious, guilty, and smaller? You do not need to remove everyone who challenges you. Healthy people will sometimes correct you, disagree with you, or make you uncomfortable. But repeated disrespect, manipulation, and emotional exhaustion should not be treated as normal. Build relationships that make honesty possible. You must also create something to move toward. A life without direction becomes easier to escape from because there is nothing meaningful pulling you forward. Choose a goal. It does not need to impress anyone. It only needs to matter to you. Improve your health, complete a course, build a business, repair your finances, write something, learn a language, strengthen your family, develop a skill. When you have a meaningful direction, your days begin to feel connected. The difficult work becomes easier to tolerate because it serves a purpose. Do not try to repair everything at once. That usually creates pressure, followed by failure. Choose one area and improve it consistently. If your sleep is damaged, begin there. If your environment is chaotic, organize it. If your finances are uncontrolled, track your spending. If your mind is constantly distracted, create periods without your phone. If your goals are unclear, write down what you want and why it matters. A small improvement that lasts is more valuable than a dramatic change you abandon after 3 days. You must also accept that building a better life may require losing certain comforts. Growth often feels inconvenient. You may need to wake earlier, spend less, reduce entertainment, end unhealthy habits, or disappoint people who benefited from your lack of direction. Do not confuse comfort with happiness. Some forms of comfort slowly destroy your confidence because they keep you inactive. Every time you avoid a necessary challenge, you teach yourself that discomfort is stronger than you. Every time you face it, you prove that you can act even while uncomfortable. Your goal is not to create a life without problems. That life does not exist. Your goal is to create a life with problems worth solving, responsibilities worth carrying, and days that reflect what truly matters to you. There will still be difficult mornings. You will still need breaks. You will still feel lost sometimes. But you will no longer need to escape from yourself. You will know that your daily choices are building something. You will see evidence that you are moving forward. Your home, habits, work, health, and relationships will slowly begin reflecting the respect you are learning to give yourself. Do not wait for your entire life to change before appreciating progress. Notice the cleaner room. Notice the completed task. Notice the money you did not waste. Notice the boundary you maintained. Notice the morning you began without immediately reaching for distraction. These are not meaningless victories. They are signs that you are becoming someone who can create stability instead of constantly searching for escape. Your life becomes easier to face when you begin participating in its construction. Stop waiting for someone else to improve it. Stop waiting for the perfect opportunity. Stop waiting for motivation to make the first move. Begin with the next decision. Build your days carefully, because your days are building you. Chapter 5. Stop measuring your worth through other people. When your worth depends on how other people treat you, your confidence will never feel stable. One compliment lifts you. One criticism destroys you. One message makes you feel important. One silence makes you question everything. One person's attention makes you feel valuable, while their distance makes you feel invisible. You begin living emotionally at the mercy of people whose opinions can change from one day to the next. This is exhausting because you are trying to build something permanent on something unstable. Other people's opinions are unstable. Their moods change, their priorities change. Their needs change, their attraction changes, their understanding of you changes. Sometimes they praise you because you are useful to them. Sometimes they criticize you because you stopped doing what they wanted. Sometimes they ignore you because they are distracted by their own lives. Yet you take every reaction personally. You turn their behavior into a judgment about your value. If they reply quickly, you feel wanted. If they reply late, you feel unimportant. If they choose you, you feel worthy. If they reject you, you feel defective. If they admire you, you feel confident. If they misunderstand you, you begin doubting yourself. This is not freedom. It is emotional dependence. You must understand something clearly. The way someone treats you can reveal their character, their capacity, their priorities, or the condition of the relationship. It does not automatically reveal your worth. A careless person may overlook something valuable. An emotionally unavailable person may fail to appreciate genuine love. An insecure person may criticize you because your confidence makes them uncomfortable. A selfish person may only value what you provide. Their inability to recognize your value does not mean it is absent. Imagine placing a rare book in the hands of someone who does not read. They may ignore it, damage it, or complain that it is useless. Their reaction does not change what the book contains. It only reveals that they do not understand its value. The same is true in many relationships. You may spend years trying to prove yourself to someone who has already decided not to see you clearly. You explain more, give more, forgive more, and reduce yourself more, hoping that one day they will finally understand. But a person committed to misunderstanding you will use every explanation as new material against you. You do not need to keep presenting evidence of your worth to someone who benefits from making you doubt it. Your life changes when you stop asking, "How can I make them value me?" and begin asking, "Why am I trying so hard to be valued by someone who keeps showing me that they do not?" This question may expose painful truths. Perhaps you are not chasing love. You are chasing proof that you are lovable. Perhaps you are not trying to save the relationship. You are trying to erase the feeling of rejection. Perhaps you remain attached because winning their approval would make you feel that the pain was worth it. But your healing cannot depend on receiving validation from the person who helped create the wound. You must stop allowing rejection to become a final verdict against you. Rejection hurts. It can disappoint you, embarrass you, and force you to change your plans. But rejection does not always mean you were not good enough. Sometimes you were not compatible. Sometimes the timing was wrong. Sometimes the opportunity was not suited to your strengths. Sometimes the person wanted something different. Sometimes you were rejected because you were still developing and needed to improve. And sometimes the person making the decision simply failed to recognize what you could become. You should learn from rejection without turning it into self-hatred. Ask what the experience can teach you. Did you ignore warning signs? Did you depend too heavily on one person's opinion? Did you need better skills, stronger boundaries, or clearer communication? Is there something you genuinely need to improve? Honest reflection is useful. Constant self-attack is not. There is a major difference between saying, "I handled that badly and need to grow," and saying, "I am worthless." One statement identifies a behavior, the other destroys your identity. You must learn to correct yourself without rejecting yourself. Many people believe self-worth means pretending to be perfect. It does not. Real self-worth allows you to admit mistakes because your identity is not destroyed by imperfection. You can say, "I was wrong," without believing you are a failure. You can lose without deciding that you are a loser. You can be rejected without becoming convinced that nobody will ever choose you. You can have weaknesses without believing you have no value. A strong sense of worth is not built through constant praise. It is built by knowing who you are, even when praise disappears. This requires you to create an internal standard. Ask yourself what qualities you respect: honesty, discipline, courage, kindness, self-control, reliability, patience, responsibility. Then begin measuring yourself by how consistently you live those values. Did you speak honestly when lying would have been easier? Did you complete the task you promised yourself you would complete? Did you remain respectful even when someone tried to provoke you? Did you admit a mistake and correct it? Did you protect a boundary you once allowed others to cross? Did you continue working when nobody applauded? These are better measurements of worth than likes, compliments, attention, popularity, or approval. External attention can feel good, but it cannot be the foundation of your identity. If you depend on praise, you will begin performing instead of living. You will choose what looks impressive instead of what is meaningful. You will hide mistakes instead of learning from them. You will shape your personality around what receives attention. You will begin asking, "What will make people admire me?" instead of, "What kind of person do I want to become?" This creates a life that looks acceptable from the outside, but feels empty inside. You cannot build self-respect while constantly betraying your values for applause. Sometimes valuing yourself means doing things that other people will not understand. It may mean leaving a relationship they believe you should tolerate. It may mean choosing a slower path because it is healthier. It may mean refusing an opportunity that requires you to abandon your principles. It may mean starting again after others have already judged you. You do not need everyone to agree with your decisions. You need to be able to live with them. This does not mean ignoring all feedback. That would be foolish. Other people can see things you miss. Constructive criticism can help you grow. Wise advice can protect you from avoidable mistakes. The goal is not to reject every opinion. The goal is to stop accepting every opinion as truth. Examine the source. Does this person know you well? Have they earned your trust? Do they want you to improve, or do they want you to feel smaller? Are they offering specific guidance or merely attacking your character? Do their own choices reflect the wisdom they are giving you? Not every voice deserves equal authority. A stranger's careless comment should not carry the same weight as the honest advice of someone who has consistently supported your growth. You must become selective about whose judgment enters your mind. You also need to stop comparing your private life with other people's public image. You see their success without seeing their fear. You see their relationship without seeing their conflicts. You see their confidence without seeing the years of insecurity they worked through. You see their results without seeing their repeated failures. Comparison becomes destructive when you use someone else's progress as evidence that you are behind. Their path is not your timeline. Some people begin with advantages you did not have. Others carry struggles you cannot see. You cannot fairly compare two lives when you do not know the full conditions of either one. Use comparison carefully. Let it show you what is possible. Let it reveal where you need to improve. Then return to your own work. Do not spend your life observing people who are busy building theirs. The more you value yourself, the less you will beg others to confirm that you matter. You will stop chasing inconsistent people. You will stop over-explaining your choices. You will stop tolerating disrespect merely to avoid being alone. You will stop shrinking so others can feel comfortable. You will understand that being chosen by the wrong person is not a victory. You will also understand that losing someone is not always a loss. Sometimes what leaves your life creates the space necessary for your self-respect to return. Learning to value yourself is not one decision. It is a daily practice. You practice it when you speak to yourself with fairness. You practice it when you stop repeating insults other people gave you. You practice it when you take care of your body. You practice it when you protect your time. You practice it when you leave situations that require you to betray your standards. You practice it when you recognize your progress without waiting for someone else to notice. At first, this may feel unnatural. You may have spent years measuring yourself through reactions, attention, and approval. You may still feel tempted to check whether someone noticed your change. Continue anyway. Your worth was never supposed to be voted on. You do not become valuable when someone finally recognizes you. You were valuable before their recognition. You do not lose value when someone walks away. Their departure changes the relationship, not your humanity. You do not need to be admired by everyone. You need to become someone you can respect when you are alone. That respect is built slowly. It is built through honest choices. It is built through discipline. It is built through boundaries. It is built through the courage to stop chasing people who continually make you question yourself. Stop handing other people the power to decide how you feel about who you are. Listen to useful feedback. Correct your mistakes. Continue learning. But do not allow temporary opinions to become permanent definitions. Your value is not measured by who stayed, who left, who praised you, who ignored you, or who failed to understand you. Your value is revealed in how you continue to live, grow, and carry yourself after those things happen. Chapter 6. Let people reveal themselves. One of the most painful mistakes you can make is becoming attached to who someone could be while ignoring who they repeatedly choose to be. You see their potential. You remember their best moments. You think about the kindness they showed in the beginning. You imagine how good the relationship could become if they healed, matured, communicated better, or finally understood how deeply their behavior affects you. You keep waiting for the person you imagine to appear permanently. Meanwhile, the person standing in front of you keeps showing you the truth. They make promises and break them. They apologize and repeat the same behavior. They become caring when they fear losing you, then return to carelessness when they feel secure again. They tell you that they will change, but their daily choices remain exactly the same. You listen to their words because their words give you hope. You ignore their pattern because their pattern gives you an answer you do not want to accept. This is how people remain trapped in unhealthy relationships for years. They are not always attached to the relationship as it truly exists. They are attached to the possibility of what it might become. Potential can be dangerous when it makes you deny reality. Every person has potential. A dishonest person has the potential to become honest. An irresponsible person has the potential to become dependable. An emotionally unavailable person has the potential to become open and caring. But potential is not character. Character is what a person consistently does with the choices available to them. You cannot build a stable relationship with someone's future possibility. You must deal with their present behavior. Pay attention to patterns. Anyone can behave well for a short period. Anyone can offer affection when they want something. Anyone can apologize when consequences appear. Anyone can make a powerful promise during an emotional conversation. Consistency is harder to fake. How do they treat you when they are frustrated? How do they behave when they no longer need something from you? Do they respect your boundaries when those boundaries inconvenience them? Do they accept responsibility when they hurt you, or do they quickly blame your reaction? Do their actions improve after difficult conversations, or do they simply become more careful about hiding the behavior? These questions reveal more than promises ever will. You must stop judging people only by their intentions. Intentions matter, but intentions without changed behavior cannot protect you. A person may say they never intended to hurt you. That may be true. But when the same behavior continues after you clearly explain its effect, intention is no longer the main issue. The issue is that they now know, and they are still choosing not to change. An apology is not proven by emotional words. It is proven by different behavior. A sincere apology includes responsibility. The person does not minimize what happened. They do not tell you that you are too sensitive. They do not use their difficult past as permission to keep hurting you. They understand that regret without correction places the burden back on you. Watch what happens after the apology. Does the person make an effort without needing constant reminders? Do they accept that rebuilding trust will take time? Do they become defensive when you are still affected by what they did? Do they expect instant forgiveness simply because they said the right words? Many people apologize because they want the consequences to stop, not because they are committed to changing the behavior. Once you understand this, you stop being impressed by temporary regret. You begin looking for evidence of growth. Let people reveal themselves through how they respond to your boundaries. Boundaries expose intentions quickly. When you are constantly available, agreeable, and forgiving, almost anyone can appear comfortable around you. The real test begins when you say no. It begins when you stop overgiving. It begins when you ask for the same respect you have been providing. A healthy person may not always like your boundary, but they will try to understand it. They may ask questions. They may express disappointment, but they will not punish you for protecting yourself. A controlling person reacts differently. They may accuse you of changing. They may call you selfish. They may withdraw affection. They may create guilt by reminding you of everything they have done for you. They may act as though your limit is an attack against them. Do not ignore this reaction. It reveals what they believed your role was supposed to be. Some people do not miss you when you create distance. They miss the access they had to your attention, labor, money, forgiveness, or emotional support. That truth can hurt, but it is useful. You must allow people to experience the consequences of their choices. When you constantly protect someone from those consequences, you help maintain the very behavior that keeps hurting you. If they repeatedly fail to prepare, you rescue them. If they spend irresponsibly, you keep paying. If they disrespect you, you forgive immediately without requiring change. If they break their promises, you adjust your life to reduce the damage. You may believe you are helping, but sometimes you are teaching them that they can remain careless because you will always absorb the cost. Love does not require you to become someone's permanent protection from responsibility. There are moments when support is necessary. People struggle. People make mistakes. Good relationships include patience, forgiveness, and second chances. But a second chance is meaningful only when it is used differently from the first. If every chance becomes another opportunity to repeat the same behavior, you are no longer offering compassion. You are participating in a cycle. You need to learn the difference between a mistake and a pattern. A mistake is followed by reflection, responsibility, and correction. A pattern is followed by excuses, temporary improvement, and repetition. Do not call something an accident after it has happened many times. Do not keep describing repeated disrespect as poor communication. Do not call manipulation a misunderstanding simply because accepting the truth feels painful. Clarity requires accurate language. You do not need to make someone evil before deciding that they are unhealthy for you. This is important because many people remain trapped while trying to prove that the other person is completely bad. Human beings are complicated. Someone can have good qualities and still damage your life. They can love you in the only way they know how and still be incapable of giving you a healthy relationship. They may be generous in one area and deeply irresponsible in another. They may have suffered greatly and still be responsible for how they treat you. They may have helped you in the past and still be harming you now. You do not need to erase the good to acknowledge the bad. You only need to be honest about the effect the relationship is having on you. Do you feel respected? Can you speak honestly without being punished? Do you constantly feel confused about where you stand? Are you always making excuses for behavior you would warn someone else not to tolerate? Have you become smaller, quieter, or more anxious since this person entered your life? Your body often recognizes an unhealthy dynamic before your mind accepts it. You may feel tense before speaking to them. You may rehearse simple sentences because you fear their reaction. You may feel relief when plans with them are cancelled. Do not ignore these signals. They do not automatically prove that the person is dangerous or malicious, but they do tell you that something in the relationship needs serious attention. Stop trying to force people into roles they have repeatedly shown they cannot fulfill. A person may be your relative without being emotionally safe. A person may be your partner without being dependable. A person may be your friend without truly supporting your growth. A person may love you while lacking the maturity necessary to treat you well. Titles do not guarantee character. History does not guarantee compatibility. Knowing someone for many years does not mean they deserve unlimited access to your future. Sometimes people remain loyal to history while becoming disloyal to themselves. They keep relationships alive because of how long they have existed, even though those relationships have not been healthy for years. Time invested is not a reason to continue investing badly. If you have spent 10 years in a harmful pattern, that is not proof you should spend another 10 years there. You must also stop confusing attachment with love. Attachment can make you miss someone who repeatedly hurt you. It can make you crave familiar attention even when that attention was inconsistent. It can make you remember the good moments while forgetting the emotional cost of staying. Missing someone does not mean returning is wise. Feeling lonely does not mean the relationship was healthy. Feeling pain after leaving does not mean leaving was a mistake. Sometimes pain is part of breaking an attachment that kept you emotionally dependent. Do not use temporary loneliness as a reason to return to permanent confusion. You may also need to accept that understanding someone does not require staying close to them. You can understand why a person behaves as they do. You can recognize their childhood wounds, fears, insecurities, or lack of emotional skills. Compassion can help you release hatred, but understanding the cause does not remove the effect. A difficult past may explain harmful behavior. It does not make that behavior harmless. You are not required to become someone's place of damage simply because you understand where their damage began. Forgiveness and reconciliation are not the same thing. Forgiveness means you refuse to spend your life controlled by resentment. Reconciliation means rebuilding a relationship. Reconciliation requires honesty, responsibility, safety, and sustained change from both sides. You can forgive someone and still keep your distance. You can release anger and still refuse access. You can wish someone well without returning to the environment that harmed you. This is not cruelty. It is discernment. Sometimes people will accuse you of holding a grudge because you no longer trust them. But trust is not restored by pressure. It is restored through evidence. You do not owe instant trust to someone who repeatedly broke it. Trust grows slowly when words and actions begin matching over time. Let people earn the position they hold in your life. Do not give someone deep access simply because you feel a strong connection. Connection is not the same as character. Chemistry can appear quickly. Trust must develop slowly. Observe how they treat people who cannot benefit them. Observe how they speak about former friends and partners. Observe whether they respect private information. Observe how they handle correction. Observe whether they celebrate your progress or become uncomfortable when you improve. Small behaviors often predict larger problems. A person who constantly betrays other people's confidence will eventually have access to yours. A person who takes no responsibility in any conflict will eventually make you responsible for theirs. A person who only respects those they need may one day decide they no longer need you. Do not become paranoid. The goal is not to search for flaws in everyone. The goal is to stop ignoring clear evidence because you desperately want a relationship to work. Give people room to be human. But do not give repeated harm endless explanations. When someone reveals themselves, believe the pattern. Do not rewrite what happened because you miss them. Do not lower your standards because they returned with an apology. Do not let a few good days erase years of inconsistency. Let time verify the change. Real change does not demand immediate recognition. It continues even when trust has not yet returned. It accepts that consequences may remain. It does not use guilt to force another chance. You will experience less confusion when you stop arguing with what people consistently show you. Some relationships will improve because both people are willing to grow. Some will end because the truth can no longer be hidden. Some people will leave when you stop making yourself easy to use. Let them. Your responsibility is not to convince everyone to remain. Your responsibility is to make sure that their presence does not require you to disappear. Let people reveal themselves. Watch their actions. Listen to their words, but compare those words with the pattern. Stop trying to love people into becoming who they refuse to become. Accepting reality may hurt, but denying it will cost you more. Chapter 7. Invest in the person you are becoming. Focusing on yourself does not mean becoming self-absorbed. It means becoming responsible for your development. You are not finished. Your current habits are not your final identity. Your present weaknesses are not permanent. Your past mistakes do not have to become your future pattern. You may feel behind, underprepared, or disappointed in yourself, but none of those feelings make change impossible. They only reveal that there is work to do. The person you are today was shaped by repeated choices. The person you become next will be shaped in the same way. Transformation does not happen because you want it badly. It happens because your daily behavior begins supporting a different identity. Many people say they want a better life, but their habits continue protecting the life they complain about. They want confidence, but avoid every situation that could strengthen it. They want financial stability, but refuse to control their spending. They want stronger relationships, but avoid honest communication. They want better health, but keep choosing temporary comfort over long-term well-being. They want progress, but give their best hours to distraction. This creates frustration because desire and behavior are moving in opposite directions. Wanting something is not the same as investing in it. Investment requires sacrifice. It requires time, attention, patience, and repeated effort. It often means giving up immediate comfort for a result that may not appear for months or years. You must decide whether you want the feeling of improvement or the work of improvement. The feeling is exciting. The work is repetitive. The feeling makes you imagine a better future. The work requires you to act differently on an ordinary Tuesday when nobody is watching and motivation is low. That is where real growth happens. Ask yourself a serious question: who do I want to become? Do not begin by asking what you want to own, how you want to look, or how you want other people to see you. Those questions are not useless, but they are incomplete. Ask who you want to be when life becomes difficult. Do you want to become disciplined, emotionally controlled, honest, dependable, courageous, patient, skilled, financially responsible, physically stronger, clearer in your communication, more consistent with your commitments? Choose the qualities that matter most, then ask what those qualities require from you today. A disciplined person completes important work even when they do not feel like doing it. A dependable person keeps promises and communicates when circumstances change. A courageous person acts while fear is present. A healthy person makes choices that support the body more often than choices that weaken it. A self-respecting person leaves repeated disrespect. A financially responsible person understands where their money goes. A focused person does not allow every notification, request, or emotion to interrupt their direction. You become through repetition. You cannot think your way into a new identity while repeatedly practicing your old one. Many people wait until they feel confident before taking action. They believe confidence must appear first, followed by effort. Usually the order is reversed. Action creates evidence. Evidence creates trust. Trust creates confidence. You become confident by handling situations you once avoided. You become disciplined by acting when motivation is absent. You become emotionally stronger by facing discomfort without immediately escaping it. You do not need to feel ready. Readiness often develops after you begin. The first attempt may be uncomfortable. Your voice may shake. Your work may be imperfect. You may make mistakes. But the person who practices badly is still moving faster than the person who keeps waiting to begin perfectly. Perfectionism often looks like high standards, but it can become fear disguised as preparation. You continue researching instead of starting. You keep planning instead of producing. You revise the first step so many times that you never reach the second. You tell yourself you are waiting for the right moment, better tools, more knowledge, or stronger motivation. But sometimes you are simply protecting yourself from the possibility of failure. You must become willing to be a beginner. Every skilled person once lacked skill. Every confident speaker once felt uncertain. Every disciplined person has struggled with inconsistency. Growth begins when you accept that embarrassment, confusion, and mistakes are part of learning. Do not insult yourself for being inexperienced. Practice. Invest in knowledge, but do not confuse consuming information with applying it. Reading 10 books about discipline will not help if you refuse to control one habit. Watching hours of educational content will not matter if you never practice the skill. Taking notes can feel productive, but notes do not create results until they influence behavior. Learn something, then use it. If you study communication, have the difficult conversation. If you study money, create a budget. If you study fitness, move your body. If you study business, make an offer, build a product, or speak to a customer. Application turns information into ability. You must also invest in your physical condition. Your body is not separate from your goals. It carries you through every responsibility, challenge, and opportunity. When your body is constantly exhausted, your patience weakens, your focus declines. Small problems feel larger. Your willingness to work disappears. You do not need to become obsessed with appearance. You need to respect the basic system supporting your life. Sleep matters. Movement matters. Food matters. Hydration matters. Rest matters. A neglected body eventually creates limits that motivation cannot overcome. Start with simple improvements. Go to bed at a reasonable time. Walk regularly. Reduce habits that leave you feeling weak. Make the healthier choice more often, not perfectly. Consistency is more valuable than intensity. A person who exercises moderately for a year will usually achieve more than someone who trains aggressively for 10 days and then quits. The same principle applies everywhere. Study consistently. Save consistently. Practice consistently. Show up consistently. Small effort repeated for a long time can create results that dramatic effort cannot sustain. You also need to invest in your emotional maturity. Many people work on their appearance, income, or skills while continuing to react like a wounded version of themselves. They become easily offended. They avoid accountability. They blame others for every uncomfortable feeling. They make decisions from anger, insecurity, jealousy, or fear. External success cannot protect you from internal immaturity. Learn to observe your reactions. What makes you defensive? What causes you to lose control? What kind of criticism affects you most? What situations make you seek approval? What behavior from others repeatedly pulls you into arguments? Your reactions contain information. They can reveal unresolved fears, weak boundaries, old beliefs, or areas where your identity is still unstable. Do not use this awareness to attack yourself. Use it to understand yourself. Emotional growth does not mean you stop feeling anger, sadness, rejection, or fear. It means those feelings no longer control every action. You learn to pause before speaking. You stop sending messages you will regret. You stop making permanent decisions during temporary emotional storms. You begin asking whether your reaction matches the situation or whether an old wound is making the situation feel larger than it is. This kind of maturity protects your future. You must also invest in useful skills. Good intentions are not enough in a demanding world. Your ability to solve problems determines many of the opportunities available to you. Learn to communicate clearly. Learn to manage money. Learn to sell an idea. Learn to organize your time. Learn to use the tools required in your field. Learn to listen. Learn to negotiate. Learn to complete work without constant supervision. A useful skill can improve your confidence because it gives you evidence that you can create value. Do not chase every skill at once. Choose one that supports your direction and commit to developing it. Practice beyond the point where the excitement disappears. The early stage of learning often feels rewarding because progress is visible. Later, improvement becomes slower. This is where many people quit. They confuse slower progress with no progress. Stay long enough to become competent, then stay longer. Your future is often shaped by what you continue doing after other people lose interest. You also need to invest in your environment. Your surroundings influence your behavior more than you may realize. If distractions are always within reach, you will need more discipline to resist them. If unhealthy food is always available, you will need more willpower to avoid it. If your workspace is chaotic, focus becomes harder. If everyone around you normalizes excuses, you may begin accepting less from yourself. Design your environment to make better behavior easier. Remove unnecessary distractions. Prepare what you need in advance. Keep important tools visible. Create a space that supports concentration. Spend more time around people who take responsibility for their lives. You do not need to abandon everyone who is struggling, but you must understand that repeated exposure shapes your standards. If everyone around you mocks discipline, ambition, learning, or boundaries, you may begin hiding the parts of yourself that want to grow. Do not shrink your future to remain acceptable to people committed to staying the same. This does not mean believing you are better than them. It means recognizing that different directions eventually create distance. Growth changes relationships. Some people will celebrate your improvement. Some will feel inspired. Some will become uncomfortable because your progress reminds them of what they are avoiding. They may accuse you of changing. They are right. Change is the point. You cannot become the person you want to be while remaining exactly who you were. You may outgrow certain habits, conversations, places, and relationships. Do not become arrogant. Do not treat people with disrespect, but do not apologize for developing standards that protect your future. Investment also requires patience. You may work hard and see little evidence at first. You may save money and still feel far from security. You may practice a skill and still feel average. You may change your habits and still struggle with old thoughts. Progress is often invisible before it becomes undeniable. A seed does not appear inactive because nothing is happening. Growth begins below the surface. Your efforts may be building discipline, knowledge, resilience, and self-trust before they create visible results. Do not quit simply because the reward has not arrived on your preferred schedule. You must learn delayed gratification. This means choosing a greater future reward over a smaller immediate one. You save instead of spending everything. You study instead of escaping into entertainment. You rest properly instead of staying awake for meaningless stimulation. You complete the difficult task before rewarding yourself. Delayed gratification is not about denying yourself every pleasure. It is about refusing to let temporary pleasure repeatedly destroy long-term goals. You need balance, not endless deprivation. Enjoy your life, but do not consume your future to feel good for one evening. Investing in yourself also means protecting what you are building. You cannot develop confidence while remaining in environments that repeatedly humiliate you. You cannot build discipline while allowing everyone to interrupt your time. You cannot improve financially while continuing to rescue people who refuse responsibility. You cannot heal emotionally while repeatedly reopening the same wound. Protection is part of growth. Sometimes the strongest investment is distance. Distance from distractions. Distance from people who constantly weaken your focus. Distance from habits that keep you emotionally unstable. Distance from environments that reward your worst behavior. You do not always need more effort. Sometimes you need fewer obstacles. Look at where your energy leaks. Perhaps you spend hours arguing online. Perhaps one unhealthy relationship consumes most of your mental attention. Perhaps you repeatedly start projects but never finish them. Perhaps you are trying to impress people instead of building something meaningful. Identify what keeps taking from your future without giving anything valuable in return. Then reduce it. Every meaningful goal requires subtraction. You cannot say yes to everything and still have enough energy for what matters most. You must say no to certain pleasures, invitations, habits and relationships so you can say yes to your development. This is not punishment, it is prioritization. You must also learn to keep promises to yourself. Every time you say you will do something and repeatedly ignore it, your trust in yourself weakens. You stop believing your own plans. You become excited when setting goals, but doubtful when it is time to act. Your mind remembers your inconsistency. Rebuild trust through smaller commitments. Do not promise to change your entire life tomorrow. Promise to complete one task, then complete it. Promise to walk for 20 minutes, then do it. Promise to save a certain amount, then protect it. Promise to study for 30 minutes, then begin on time. Self-trust grows when your actions repeatedly confirm your words. Once you become someone who follows through, bigger goals become less frightening. You know you can depend on yourself. There will still be failures. You will miss days. You will make poor decisions. You will lose focus. Do not turn one mistake into permission to abandon the entire process. A missed workout does not require a missed week. One overspending decision does not require giving up on your finances. One emotional reaction does not erase your progress. Correct quickly. The faster you return, the less power the mistake gains. Consistency does not mean never failing. It means failure no longer becomes your final destination. Do not waste time creating a perfect image of growth. Real growth is often messy. You may feel strong one day and uncertain the next. You may understand a lesson intellectually before you can live it consistently. You may outgrow an old habit and later feel tempted to return to it. This does not mean your progress is fake. It means you are human. Continue practicing. You are building a person, not performing a transformation. The person you are becoming needs your loyalty. They need you to make decisions today that they will benefit from later. They need you to stop sacrificing long-term progress for temporary approval. They need you to leave what keeps weakening you. They need you to learn what you have been avoiding. They need you to begin before you feel completely ready. Think of your future self as someone you are responsible for protecting. Every careless decision becomes something they must repair. Every disciplined decision becomes something they can build upon. What are you leaving for them? Debt or stability, confusion or clarity, weak habits or useful routines, broken trust or self-respect? You cannot control every circumstance they will face, but you can improve the person who will face it. That is the real purpose of self-investment. It is not to become superior to others. It is to become more capable, responsible, and prepared than you were before. Do not compete with everyone around you. Their circumstances, strengths, weaknesses, and timing are different. Compete with your own patterns. Become less distracted than you were, more disciplined than you were, more honest than you were, more emotionally controlled than you were, more skilled than you were. Improvement becomes healthier when the goal is development instead of superiority. You do not need to prove that you are better than everyone. You need to stop remaining below your own potential because you are afraid of the work required to reach it. Invest in the person you are becoming. Give them your time. Give them your discipline. Give them your patience. Give them your courage. Give them the sacrifices your future requires. The work may not always feel exciting. It may not receive applause. Other people may not understand why you are changing your habits, reducing distractions, or becoming more selective with your time. Let them misunderstand. Your future will eventually explain what your discipline was building. Do not wait for a new life to create a new version of you. Create a new version of yourself, and your life will begin changing around that person. The future is not something you simply enter. It is something you prepare yourself to deserve, manage, and sustain. Chapter 8. Make solitude work for you. Many people remain in unhealthy relationships and exhausting social circles because they are afraid of being alone. They confuse constant company with connection, and they accept almost any presence rather than face silence. You can sit beside someone who does not understand you and feel completely unseen. You can spend years in a relationship and still feel emotionally abandoned. You can have hundreds of contacts and conversations while feeling that nobody truly knows you. Loneliness is the painful feeling that you are disconnected, unwanted, or forgotten. Solitude is the decision to spend time with yourself without treating your own company as a punishment. Loneliness makes you feel empty. Solitude gives you space to understand what that emptiness is trying to teach you. When you fear being alone, you become easier to control. You may tolerate disrespect because losing the relationship feels more frightening than losing your dignity. You may return to someone who repeatedly hurt you because familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar silence. You may keep friendships that drain you because having fewer people makes you feel unsuccessful. You lower your standards. You ignore warning signs. You accept inconsistent attention. You explain behavior you would never advise another person to tolerate. You measure the quality of your life by how many people are around you, instead of how you feel when they are present. Not every person who stays values you. Some stay because you are useful. Some stay because you are easy to access. Some stay because your lack of boundaries benefits them. Presence alone is not proof of care. If a relationship repeatedly leaves you anxious, confused, exhausted, or ashamed, being alone may be healthier than remaining connected to it. At first, solitude can feel uncomfortable because there is no one to distract you from yourself. Your thoughts become louder. Unfinished emotions rise. You remember decisions you regret, goals you abandoned, and truths you kept avoiding. Silence is not attacking you. It is revealing what constant noise helped you hide. Ask yourself what you miss. Is it truly the person or the routine? Do you miss their character, or do you miss having someone to contact? Do you want the relationship back, or do you simply want relief from the emptiness that followed its ending? Missing someone does not automatically mean they belong in your life. Attachment can remain after trust has disappeared. Familiarity can feel comforting even when the familiar pattern was harmful. Read without needing to post what you learned. Walk without needing someone beside you. Prepare a meal carefully. Organize your space. Exercise. Write down your thoughts. Learn a skill. Work on a goal that belongs to you. The purpose is not to keep yourself constantly busy. It is to discover that your life can still contain meaning when nobody is watching. Solitude teaches self-reliance. You learn that you can make decisions without asking everyone for approval. You learn that you can comfort yourself without returning to the person who caused the pain. You learn that difficult evenings pass, and that loneliness does not remain equally intense forever. Isolation can become another form of avoidance. You may use solitude as an excuse to reject support, avoid vulnerability, or convince yourself that you need nobody. That is not strength. Human beings need healthy connection. The goal is not to build a life without people. The goal is to stop needing unhealthy people to protect you from yourself. Healthy solitude makes better relationships possible. When you can enjoy your own company, you stop choosing people from desperation. You become more patient about who receives access to you. You no longer accept anyone merely because they showed interest. Solitude also helps you hear your own voice again. When you spend too much time adapting to others, you may forget your preferences, values, and direction. You begin making choices based on what will please others or prevent conflict. You may discover that some goals were never yours. Some habits existed only because of your environment. Some relationships survived because you were afraid to question them. Create regular periods of solitude before life forces them upon you. Put the phone away. Sit without constant entertainment. Let your mind slow down. Review your choices honestly. A mind trained by constant stimulation does not become calm immediately. It searches for noise because noise is familiar. With practice, silence becomes less threatening. You begin noticing small things again. Your thoughts become clearer. Your emotions become easier to name. Decisions become less impulsive because you have given yourself time to think. Messages, likes, and invitations can make you feel temporarily included, but they cannot replace being known and respected. One honest relationship is more valuable than many shallow ones. The ability to be alone without feeling worthless is a form of freedom. It means you can leave disrespect without believing your life is over. You can survive rejection without begging to be chosen. You can allow people to walk away without chasing them into places where your dignity cannot follow. Let it teach you who you are without an audience. Let it expose what needs healing. Let it strengthen your standards. Let it remind you that your own company should not feel like a sentence. When you stop fearing being alone, you stop accepting relationships that make you feel alone while someone is sitting beside you. Chapter 9. Protect your future from your current emotions. Your emotions are real, but they are not always reliable leaders. They can reveal what matters, but they can also exaggerate danger and push you toward choices that create lasting damage. Anger may tell you to destroy something you built. Loneliness may tell you to return to someone who repeatedly hurt you. Fear may tell you to abandon an opportunity before trying. Insecurity may tell you to stay silent when honesty is necessary. Pride may tell you to protect your image instead of correcting your mistake. A temporary feeling can create a permanent consequence when you obey it without reflection. This is why emotional strength is not the absence of emotion. It is the ability to feel deeply without allowing every feeling to control your behavior. You do not become strong by becoming numb. You become strong by creating space between what you feel and what you do. That space may last only a few seconds, but it can protect your future. Pause before sending the message. Pause before making the accusation. Pause before ending the relationship. Pause before quitting the job. Pause before spending the money. Pause before saying something that cannot be taken back. The pause gives your wiser mind time to enter the room. When emotions rise, your mind often focuses only on immediate relief. Anger wants release, fear wants escape, loneliness wants connection, shame wants to hide. None of these feelings are thinking about tomorrow. You must think about tomorrow. Ask yourself a simple question. Will this decision still make sense when this emotion becomes weaker? If the answer is uncertain, delay the action. Take a walk. Sleep before deciding. Write down what you want to say, but do not send it immediately. Speak to someone who is not emotionally involved. Give your body time to settle before asking your mind to make a serious choice. This is not avoidance, it is discipline. Many people damage their future because they believe acting immediately proves strength. In reality, immediate reaction often proves that the emotion has taken control. Real strength can look quiet. It can mean refusing to answer an insult. It can mean leaving the room before your anger becomes cruelty. It can mean sitting with loneliness instead of returning to an unhealthy relationship. It can mean continuing a difficult task, even when fear tells you that failure is certain. Your feelings deserve attention, but they do not deserve automatic authority. You must also learn to identify what is underneath the emotion. Anger may be covering embarrassment, jealousy may be revealing insecurity, procrastination may be hiding fear of failure. Irritation may be the result of exhaustion. Desperation may be the result of feeling unseen for too long. When you name the real feeling, you can respond to the real problem. If you are exhausted, rest. If you are afraid, prepare. If you are ashamed, take responsibility and repair what you can. If you are lonely, seek healthy connection rather than familiar harm. If you feel rejected, allow yourself to grieve without turning rejection into proof that you are worthless. Emotional control is easier when you stop judging yourself for having emotions. Feelings are not moral failures. Anger does not make you cruel. Fear does not make you weak. Sadness does not make you incapable. What matters is what you choose to do next. You are responsible for your behavior, even when the emotion is understandable. A difficult past may explain why certain situations affect you strongly, but it does not remove your responsibility to respond differently. Healing begins when you stop using pain as permission to create more pain. You may have learned to shout because nobody listened calmly. You may have learned to withdraw because closeness felt unsafe. You may have learned to chase because abandonment became familiar. These patterns may make sense, but they can still damage your future. Understanding the pattern is the beginning. Practicing a new response is the work. Create personal rules before the emotional moment arrives. Do not make major decisions while furious. Do not contact someone unhealthy because you feel lonely at night. Do not spend money to escape sadness. Do not quit because one day went badly. Do not answer disrespect with behavior that makes you lose respect for yourself. Principles protect you when emotions become loud. Your mood will change. Your standards should not change every time your mood does. There will be days when you doubt your progress. You will feel tired, discouraged, and tempted to return to old habits. This does not mean your direction is wrong. It means you are human. Do not destroy months of progress because of one difficult evening. A bad day does not require a bad decision. One failure does not require surrender. One argument does not require revenge. One rejection does not require self-destruction. Return to your principles. Ask what the person you are becoming would do next. They may still feel angry, afraid, embarrassed, or lonely, but they will not hand those emotions control of the future. Every time you choose restraint over impulse, you strengthen self-trust. You prove that your emotions can speak without becoming your master. Protect your future from the version of you that only wants immediate relief. Let the feeling pass. Let your mind clear. Then choose the action you will still respect tomorrow. Chapter 10. Become your own priority. Your life will not transform because you understand these ideas. It will transform when you begin living them. Knowledge can inspire you, but knowledge without action becomes another form of delay. You can read about boundaries, discipline, confidence, healing, and self-respect while continuing to make the same choices every day. You may understand what is hurting you and still remain loyal to the pattern because familiarity feels safer than change. At some point, understanding is no longer enough. The question is not whether you know. The question is whether you are willing to choose differently. Becoming your own priority means you stop waiting for someone else to rescue you. You stop waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, or the perfect amount of support. You stop telling yourself that your life will begin when someone chooses you, apologizes, approves of you, or finally understands you. Your life is already happening. Every day you delay, you are still making a choice. Avoidance is a choice. Silence is a choice. Remaining in the same pattern is a choice. Handing your future to fear is also a choice. This does not mean blaming yourself for everything that happened. You did not create every wound, betrayal, hardship, or unfair circumstance. Some things were done to you, some people failed you, some opportunities were denied to you. But your future cannot remain controlled by your past. Responsibility is not the same as blame. Blame asks, whose fault is this? Responsibility asks, what can I do now? One keeps you trapped, the other gives you direction. You may not control what was done to you, but you can control what you continue allowing. You may not control who left, but you can control whether their departure becomes proof that you are unworthy. You may not control how someone judged you, but you can decide whether their judgment becomes your identity. Becoming your own priority means taking your power back from everything that taught you to abandon yourself. You choose yourself when you protect your sleep, instead of sacrificing your health for meaningless distraction. You choose yourself when you stop begging for attention from someone who keeps giving you confusion. You choose yourself when you complete the task, even though nobody is watching. You choose yourself when you leave a conversation that has become disrespectful. You choose yourself when you tell the truth, instead of performing a version of yourself that keeps everyone comfortable. You choose yourself when you save money, learn a skill, keep a promise, move your body, and create time for the future you want. These actions may seem small, but they are not. Every action is a vote for the person you are becoming. You do not become confident through one speech. You become confident by repeatedly proving that you can trust your decisions. You do not become disciplined through one productive day. You become disciplined by returning to the work after excitement disappears. You do not develop self-respect by saying that you value yourself. You develop it by refusing behavior that destroys your dignity. Your life changes when your standards become visible in your actions. At first, other people may not notice. The transformation begins privately. It appears in the message you decide not to send. It appears in the argument you no longer enter. It appears in the morning you begin without immediately reaching for your phone. It appears in the invitation you decline because your time belongs to something important. It appears when you stop explaining yourself to someone committed to misunderstanding you. Private choices create public results. One day, people may say you changed suddenly. They will not see the hundreds of quiet decisions that created the change. They will only see the visible result. Let them misunderstand the process. You are not rebuilding your life to receive applause. You are rebuilding it because continuing as you were has become too costly. This does not mean becoming harsh. It means becoming clear. You can be kind without becoming available to everyone. You can forgive without returning. You can love someone without allowing them to control you. You can support others without abandoning your responsibilities. You can care deeply while still having limits. Healthy self-priority is not selfishness. Selfishness ignores the needs of others. Self-priority recognizes that your needs also matter. You cannot give your best to meaningful work, healthy relationships, or important responsibilities when you are constantly exhausted, resentful, distracted, and emotionally dependent. Taking care of yourself improves what you are capable of giving. The goal is not to place yourself above everyone. The goal is to stop placing yourself below everyone. Transformation is not a straight line. It is a repeated return to the person you decided to become. Your future does not need a perfect version of you. It needs a version that refuses to quit whenever life becomes difficult. Value yourself enough to keep going. Value yourself enough to leave what repeatedly damages you. Value yourself enough to stop chasing what keeps rejecting you. Value yourself enough to become more disciplined than your excuses. Value yourself enough to build a life that reflects your standards. Everything will not magically fall into place the moment you focus on yourself. That idea sounds comforting, but it is not completely true. Some things will become harder before they become better. Some truths will hurt. Some changes will require sacrifice. But when you focus on yourself, you become capable of putting things into place. You become clearer, stronger, more selective, more responsible, more difficult to manipulate, and more willing to act. That is the real transformation. Your life begins changing when you stop asking everyone else to choose you and finally decide to choose yourself. Become your own priority. Protect your attention. Build your character. Keep your promises. Walk away when staying requires self-betrayal. Stay when growth requires courage. Become the person you can depend on. Then let your life reflect the decision. You have spent enough time waiting for other people to recognize your value. You have waited for approval, attention, understanding, permission, and reassurance. You have tried to prove that you are worthy of respect by giving more, tolerating more, explaining more, and asking for less. But your life cannot keep depending on whether someone else finally decides to treat you well. The decision must begin with you. Valuing yourself first does not mean believing you are more important than everyone around you. It means refusing to live as though you are less important. It means recognizing that your time matters, your health matters, your goals matter, and your future deserves protection. You cannot continue abandoning yourself and expect your life to become stable. You cannot keep giving your attention to people who drain you and expect to remain focused. You cannot keep saying yes to everything and expect to have energy for what matters. You cannot keep measuring your worth through other people and expect to feel secure. You cannot keep ignoring repeated patterns and expect different results. At some point, you must stop hoping that life will change while you continue choosing what keeps you trapped. The next chapter of your life will not be built through intention alone. It will be built through decisions. The decision to say no without guilt. The decision to protect your attention. The decision to stop chasing inconsistent people. The decision to spend time alone rather than remain in unhealthy company. The decision to control your reactions instead of allowing temporary emotions to damage your future. The decision to invest in the person you are becoming. These decisions may not always feel comfortable. Growth rarely does. You may lose people who preferred the version of you with no boundaries. You may outgrow routines that once felt normal. You may have to face truths you spent years avoiding. You may need to rebuild parts of your life that were held together by fear, dependence, and self-neglect. Let them fall apart if they cannot survive your self-respect. Not everything that leaves your life is a loss. Sometimes an ending removes what was standing in the way of your growth. Sometimes distance gives you the clarity that constant closeness prevented. Sometimes losing access to the wrong people allows you to regain access to yourself. Do not be afraid of becoming different. You are supposed to change when you learn better. You are supposed to become more careful with your time. You are supposed to raise your standards after recognizing what low standards cost you. You are supposed to stop repeating choices that continually produce pain. Change does not make you disloyal. Remaining loyal to what destroys you is not a virtue. From this moment forward, stop asking whether everyone will approve of your decisions. Ask whether your decisions are moving you toward a life you respect. Stop asking whether someone will be disappointed when you set a boundary. Ask how many times you have disappointed yourself by having none. Stop asking whether walking away makes you cruel. Ask whether staying requires you to keep betraying your own values. You do not need to transform everything today. Begin with one honest decision. Remove one distraction. Keep one promise. End one damaging habit. Complete one delayed task. Set one necessary boundary. Take one step toward the person you know you can become. Then repeat the process tomorrow. Your life is not changed by one powerful moment. It is changed by ordinary choices made consistently. There will be days when you return to old patterns. Correct yourself without destroying yourself. There will be moments when you doubt your progress. Look at how far you have already come. There will be times when choosing yourself feels lonely. Remember that temporary loneliness is better than permanent self-abandonment. You are not waiting to become worthy. You are learning to live like someone who already understands their worth. Focus on yourself, not because nobody else matters, but because your life has been neglected for too long. Build your health, strengthen your mind, protect your energy, develop your skills, choose your relationships carefully. Become disciplined enough to create what motivation alone never could. Everything may not fall into place immediately. Some things will require patience. Some will require courage. Some will require you to begin again. But the moment you become your own priority, you stop living helplessly. You begin creating order instead of waiting for it. You begin making choices instead of chasing approval. You begin building a future instead of constantly reacting to the past. Your transformation begins when you stop asking the world to prove your value and start proving to yourself that you can be trusted with your own life. Choose yourself, not once, not only when it is easy. Choose yourself every day through the way you think, speak, act, and live. Value yourself first and build a life that shows it.